Hello students, I am VLN Swarupini, lecturer in biochemistry from Sri Venkateswara College of Arts and Sciences, which is affiliated to Adhikari Nannaya University, Rajahmundry. Now, let's discuss about first BSc second semester biochemistry paper, that is analytical techniques. So in this analytical techniques, let's see the fourth unit topic, that is spectrophotometer. So this particular instrument works on the principle of Beer-Lambert's law. So Beer-Lambert's law is nothing but the principle explained by two scientists called Beer and Lambert. So these two scientists, they explain this particular principle. Let's see about this UV visible spectrophotometry, which works on the basic principle of Beer-Lambert's law. Okay, so here the instruments that are used to study the absorption or emission of electromagnetic radiation as a function of wavelength are called spectrophotometers or spectrometer or spectrophotometer. Okay, here what it means, any instruments, that means any mechanical instruments, these help us to study the absorption or the emission of electromagnetic radiation using wavelength. That particular instrument is called as spectrophotometer or spectrometer. Okay, and the essential components of spectrometer or spectrophotometer includes a stable and a radiant energy source. Okay, stable radiant energy source, and also a monochromator to break the polychromatic radiation into the component wavelength or bands of wavelength. So here we heard the word polychromatic radiation. Polychromatic radiation means, which means that particular beam will contain rays of different wavelength. Okay, not all the all the beams or all the waves which are produced from a beam of that light will not have the same wavelength. Each one will have different wavelength. That particular beam is called as polychromatic radiation, or that particular radiation is called as polychromatic radiation. So here for spectrophotometry, what are the essential components? First one is stable and chief radiant energy source. So energy source means nothing but light source, and this particular light source should be stable. It should not have any fluctuations. It should be stable during all the process of this spectrophotometry. And a monochromator to break the polychromatic radiation into component wavelengths or bands of wavelengths. That means as this polychromatic radiation contains beams of different wavelength, based on the wavelength all the beams should be separated. That means beams of all beams of the similar wavelength should form a band. Okay, and this monochromator will help to break this polychromatic radiation to form different bands of wavelength based on the wavelength whatever that particular beam is carrying. Based on that, those particular beams will form different bands based on their wavelength. All the beams with similar wavelength will form a band. Okay, So this monochromator will help to form bands with regard to this wavelength. Okay, and transparent vessels to hold the sample. Here transparent vessel to hold the sample is nothing but cuvettes. Okay, here most probably in our laboratories we will use cuvettes. Okay, we will use cuvettes, and these cuvettes are small. This will be like small test tubes. Okay, so if you observe the test tube, in the similar manner only that particular cuvette will be there, but compared to test tube it is short and small in size. Okay, and these are made up of different material. Okay, so these are not prepared with the same material with which these particular test tubes are made. Okay, so a photosynthetic detector and an associated readout system. Okay, and also along with this a photosensitive detector, and along with this detector there will be a readout system. Readout system is nothing but it will help us to see or read the final output. Okay, it will help us to see the final output. Okay, so finally, for every UV visible spectrophotometry or any spectrophotometry require 4 major components. The first one is a stable and radiant energy source. And the second one is a monochromator which helps in the formation of bands, different wavelength bands. And third one is transparent vessel to hold the sample. Okay, we will place the sample in the sample holder so that the beam of light will pass through the monochromator and it will pass through the sample, and we can finally get the result. Okay, so what will happen? This beam will pass through the sample and it will detect the absorbance. Okay, so along with the components, along with the light, these components will be observed, and what will happen? Amount of absorbance by the components of this light can be detected. And along with these three, a photosensitive detector. Photosensitive means it should be sensitive to light. And along with that a readout system. Okay, whatever the final result or the absorbance, optical density value which will be produced should be finally given, and that particular result will be given through the readout system. Okay, see this block diagram of spectrometer. Here this is the block diagram of spectrometer. Here a light source will be there, and after light source a monochromator will be there, and next to this sample order will be there. That means this is a place where we will place the sample, and the next one will be detector, and after that amplifier and recorder, which is present in association with the detector. Okay, so here let's see all these 4 components, essential components of spectrometer in detail. And the first one is radiant energy source, which is a stable one. So let's see about the radiant energy source. Materials which can be existed to high energy states by a high voltage will serve as an excellent energy source of radiant. Okay, so here any material which can be excited to high energy state Okay, that means whenever we use high voltage, then what will happen? By the presence of this high voltage, this particular material what we are using as a energy source, it will get excited and it will move to the higher energy state. And any material which gets excited and move to the higher energy state by this high voltage will be used as excellent energy source of radiant. And for if it is UV radiation, sources of UV radiation is a UV light, and most commonly used source of UV radiations are the hydrogen lamps and the deuterium lamps. Okay, either deuterium lamp is used or hydrogen lamp is used. Okay, so both the hydrogen lamp and deuterium lamps are the best sources for UV radiation. So okay, here for to create any UV radiation, whenever we are going to carry UV spectrophotometry, we should use this hydrogen lamp or deuterium lamp, and these are the best sources of the UV radiation. And both the systems consist of a pair of electrodes enclosed in a glass. Okay, bulb means if you observe a common bulb in your house, it will have a anode and a cathode, and which is enclosed by a glass. Okay, and here if it is a hydrogen or deuterium lamp, what will happen? It will also contain both anode and cathode. Okay, pair of electrodes, that means nothing but anode and cathode, and these will be enclosed in a glass, and inside the glass will be hydrogen gas or deuterium gas. Okay, so that's why we call them as hydrogen lamp and deuterium lamp. Okay, so what is the difference between normal lamp and this hydrogen lamp? Nothing but there will be presence of hydrogen gas inside the closed glass. Okay, and also in deuterium lamp there will be deuterium gas which is present in closed glass. Okay, here both the system consist of a pair of electrodes enclosed in a glass tube. And this glass tube will be provided with a quartz window. This particular glass tube will be provided with a glass quartz window, and the glass tube is filled with hydrogen or deuterium gas at low pressure. When a stabilized high voltage is applied, they emit radiation which is continuous in the region between 180 to 350 nanometers. Okay, here what is happening? This glass tube will have a quartz window, and also this glass tube is filled with hydrogen or deuterium gas. That means if the bulb is filled with hydrogen gas, it is called as hydrogen bulb, and if it is filled with deuterium gas, we call it as deuterium bulb. Okay, or deuterium lamp. Okay, and these two gases are present at low pressure only. Okay, but when this high voltage, when a stabilized high voltage is applied on this, it will emit radiation. And coming to the region at which this radiation will be present is 180 to 350 nanometers. Okay, 180 to 350 nanometers. Okay, while calculating any sample, so whenever we want to calculate a sample, then after placing the sample in the sample holder, we should adjust the nanometers. Okay, so based on the band only will get the result. Okay, so we should adjust. If we are going to see any sample at UV light, we should adjust the bandwidth band's wavelength to 180 to 350 nanometers. Between this wavelength only we can identify, or we can get the proper result. And here, apart from this hydrogen lamp and deuterium lamp, xenon lamp may be also used. Okay, here apart from this hydrogen and deuterium lamps, xenon lamp is also used for UV radiation, but the radiation produced is not as stable as hydrogen lamp. Okay, so UV radiation produced by hydrogen lamp is very stable when compared to deuterium, and it is very least in xenon lamp. Okay, so that's why most probably hydrogen lamp is used as source. Okay, and the next one will be source of visible radiation. Source of visible radiation. Here, when we are carrying visible spectrophotometry, then this source of visible radiation is tungsten filament lamp. Here, tungsten filament lamp is most commonly used source of visible radiation. Okay, tungsten filament lamp is most commonly used source of visible radiation, and it is inexpensive and emits continuous radiation in the region 350 and 2500 nanometers. Okay, so here tungsten filament lamp is the most common visible energy source. Okay, and this is a best source for the visible radiation production. Okay, and it is inexpensive, that means it is not expensive, and emits continuous radiation at 350 to 2500 nanometers. Between this range, what will happen? It will continuously emit the radiation. It will continuously emit the radiation. And here, carbon, which provides more intense visible radiation, is used in a small number of commercially available instruments. Okay, so here tungsten filament lamp is the commonly used visible source, but in few conditions, that means in few exceptional cases, carbon is used as visible source in few commercially available instruments. Okay, commercially available instruments is nothing but whatever the instruments we'll buy from the different companies, those are called as commercially available instruments, and in few of such instruments carbon is used as visible radiation source. Okay, and this carbon will give an intense visible radiation. It will give an intense visible radiation. Apart from this, let's also see about infrared radiation, just for your idea. Okay, and for this infrared radiation, nearest glower and globar are the mostly used sources of infrared radiation. So here, nearest glower and globar. Okay, these are the two important IR radiation sources, nearest glower and globar. Nearest glower and nearest globar. These two are the best infrared radiation sources, and globar consists of silicon carbide rod. Okay, this globar consists of silicon carbide rod, and this one will heated to 1200 degrees centigrade. It will emit radiation in the 1 to 40 nanometer region. Okay, 1 to 40 nanometer region. When we heat this particular silicon carbide rod at 1200 degrees centigrade, it will emit radiation from 1 to 40 nanometer region. And when we use Nernst Glover, in this Nernst Glover, it has a halo rod of zirconium and yttrium. Okay, halo rod of zirconium and yttrium, and it requires to be heated up to 1500 degrees centigrade and emits radiation in the region of 0.4 to 20 nanometers. Okay, so here if we take Nernst Glover, it should be heated up to 1200 degrees centigrade, and this will contain silicon carbide rod. Silicon carbide rod will be present, and we should heat up to 1200 degrees centigrade so that it will emit the radiation, and it will be at 1 to 40 nanometer region. And the next one is Nernst Glover. Nernst Glover, in which zirconium or yttrium will be present, and this zirconium or yttrium, this should be heated at 1500 degrees centigrade, and by heating at 1500 degrees centigrade, it will produce or it will emit the radiation at 0.4 to 20 nanometers. Okay, and this when we compare this Glover and Nernst Glover, Glover is more stable than the Nernst Glover. So Glover means nothing but silicon carbide rod. Okay, Glover, which contains silicon carbide rod, is more stable when compared to the Nernst Glover with zirconium and yttrium. Okay, so most important source of infrared radiation is here Glover. Okay, and the next one is wavelength selector. Okay, so the first aspect related to this UV visible spectrum is light source, and we discussed the light source. And the next points related to this light source, let's see. Wavelength selector. Okay, so here wavelength selector should be so here all the sources whatever we discussed till now, that is UV radiation source and visible radiation source and infrared radiation source, all the sources discussed so far, they will emit the radiation continuously over wide range of wavelengths. Okay, based on the wide range of wavelength, these particular sources of different radiations will emit radiation continuously. And for this, filters are very essential. So filters operate by absorbing light in all other regions. Okay, so filters will be operated by absorbing light in all other regions. Okay, and other regions except for one which the reflect, for which they reflect. Okay, and here gelatin filters are made up of a layer of gelatin colored with organic dyes and sealed between glass plates. Okay, so here few organic filters, organic dyes are used for the gelatin filters. Here gelatin filters are made by taking a layer of gelatin. So gelatin is nothing but it's a gelling agent. Okay, gelatin is a special component which will help in the gelling process. Okay, so this gelatin will help and this gelatin is made into a layer, and this particular gelatin layer is colored with organic dyes. Okay, as we have different kinds of organic dyes, these are used to give color to the gelatin dye, and this particular gelatin dye which is colored using organic dyes is sealed between two glass plates, okay, and this is most moderate filter instrument used. Okay, this is the most moderate filter used in the instruments. Okay, so this particular gelatin filters are mostly used. Okay, and the next one is monochromator. So till now we discussed about the first important part of the spectrophotometer. Okay, spectrophotometer will have four major parts or four major sections, and the first section is the energy source and the second section is monochromator. So what is the importance of this monochromator? As discussed before, this monochromator will help to produce polychromatic radiation. This will help to produce, or it will help to give polychromatic radiation. Okay, whatever the monochromators means, a single beam of light will be passed through this monochromator. By action of this monochromator, it will lead to separation of all the beams which are in the similar wavelength, and finally all the similar wavelength beams will be converted into, they'll form a band. Okay, they'll form a band. Okay, and for this purpose monochromator is used, and this ultimately converts single beam of light into polychromatic radiations. Okay, a monochromator resolves polychromatic radiations into its individual wavelength and isolates these wavelengths into very narrow bands. Okay, so based on the wavelength, even the bands, even the beams which are very near wavelength will also be easily separated. Okay, that means even though very close wavelength beams can be separated into two bands. Okay, so this is the working action of this monochromator. What it will do, it will isolate these wavelengths into very narrow bands. Narrow bands is nothing but beams which have very near wavelength will be easily separated into two different bands. Okay, and the essential components of a monochromator are an entrance slit which admits polychromatic light from the source. Okay, so here this monochromator itself will contains again a slit and again a collimating device and a graters. So this and a exit slit. So in this way, these particular monochromator will also contain again five different parts. First one is entrance slit, second one is collimating device, third one is graters. Okay, graters, or we can call it as a prism, okay, prism or a crater. And the fourth one is a focusing mirror, and fifth one is exit slit. Okay, so this monochromator is again a combination of 5 different components, and the first component is entrance slit, and this entrance slit is essential for the entrance of the polychromatic light beam from the light source. Okay, so whenever this high voltage was given to the spectrophotometer, what will happen immediately? There light energy source, whatever we are using in that particular spectrophotometer, will produce a light, and that light will contain different beams, okay, different beams with different wavelengths, and in that polychromator light will enter the slit. Okay, so entrance slit will allow a polychromatic light from the light source. Okay, and the next part is collimating device. A collimating device will be present next to the entrance slit of the monochromator. Okay, and this collimating device such as a lens or a mirror, here it is not length, it is lens, LENS, lens or a mirror which collimate, okay, the polychromatic light onto dispersion device. Okay, it will here a collimating device, or in the form of this collimating device a lens or a mirror is used. Okay, as here either collimating device is used or a mirror or a lens is placed instead of will be worked as a collimator. Okay, and this will help to help this polychromatic light to dispersion onto the dispersive device. Okay, this particular collimating device will help the polychromatic beam to pass onto the dispersion device. Okay, so that if this particular polychromatic light which entered through the entrance slit, it will fall on the collimating device, and this will lead to fall of this polychromatic light on the dispersive device. Okay, and the third one is a wavelength resolving device like a prism or a grating which breaks the radiation into component wavelength. So here the major concept of this monochromator is being worked in the third step. Okay, so whenever a prism is placed, that means collimating device will help the polychromatic polychromatic light to fall on the prism, and here prism will help to, so if you see the prism, it is in a conical shape. Okay, and this whenever the light pass on this prism, what will happen? Light beam will be dispersed in the based on the wavelength. Okay, so that's what will happen here. Here radiation will break into components based on the different wavelengths. Okay, and the fourth component of this monochromator is a focusing lens or a mirror. So that particular wavelength radiations based on the wavelength will fall on the mirror. Okay, and finally a exit slit which allows the monochromatic beam to escape. The entire assemble is mounted in a light tight box. Okay, so what happens in this exit slit? Whatever the rays separated based on the wavelength, they will be focused on this focusing lens or on the mirror, and whatever the monochromatic light separated based on the wavelength is focused on the mirror will enter the exit slit, okay, to escape, okay. And here the entire assembling of this monochromator and all is in a light tight box, okay. So this all the arrangement of monochromator is in a light tight box, okay. So light tight, why? Because here light source is present, that's why we call it as light tight box, okay. Here we should discuss little more, we should know little more about prism and gratings, okay. So here separation of the polychromatic light into monochromatic light is done with this prism or with the graters. So we should know more about these two components, okay. So the first one is prism. So we all know very well about the prism. A prism disperses polychromatic light from the source into its constituent wavelength by virtue of its ability to refract with different wavelength to a different extent, okay. So this prism will help to dispersion of polychromatic light which is from the light source, and this dispersion is based on the wavelength of that particular beams in the polychromatic light, okay. And this dispersion is also based on the refraction ability of that particular wavelength, okay. So based on the refraction ability of the wavelength, these are dispersed, okay. And the shorter wavelengths are diffracted most, and the degree of dispersion by prism depends on different characters, okay. So here shorter wavelengths, okay, shorter wavelengths will be diffracted very fastly, and all the shorter wavelengths are easily diffracted, okay. And here degree of dispersion, that means degree of dispersion of prism depends on the different characters, like the epic angle of prism, okay. Epic angle of prism is 60 degrees, and the epic angle of prism is dependent on the dispersion of the prism, and also the material of which it is made, okay. So prism which is made of the this prism dispersion depends on the material of which this prism is made, okay, since it disperses the shorter wavelength, okay. So based on the material of the prism also this dispersion will be dependent, okay. And the dead end of the spectrum are not fully resolved, they are said to be crowded. This is the major disadvantage of prism, okay. So whenever we are using this prism as a wavelength dissolving device, okay, if we are using this prism as a wavelength dissolving device, what happens is the dead end of the spectrum is not fully resolved, that means all the wavelengths will be crowded at the end of the spectrum. So this is the major disadvantage of prism, okay. And the next one is gratings. So you may get a doubt what is grating. As you know about prism, it is in a triangle shape. It will be, and how light will be dispersed, you have an idea. But if you see gratings, if you see the diagram here, it is also a form of prism, but here a zigzag manner of the prism is present. Okay, this is present in a zigzag form. Okay. And here gratings are often used in monochromator or spectrophotometer, operating in UV visible spectrophotometry, and also in the infrared regions. So this gratings is only meant for the ultraviolet spectrophotometry, visible spectrophotometry, and infrared spectrophotometry. If you see the diagram here, light is monochromator, polychromator light is passed on this particular grating. Okay, and what happened? All the beams with different wavelengths got separated. Here first one is 400 to 800 nanometers width band. Okay, all the beams which have 400 to 800 nanometer range will be separated in this band, and the next band is with 300 nanometers, and the next band is 500 to 1000, and the next band is 600 to 1200 nanometers. So in this manner all the beams are separated into different bands based on their wavelength. Okay, so this is about first two major parts of the spectrophotometer. Okay, and the first one is energy source. Okay, and the second one is monochromator. Okay, energy source will give the light essential for the absorption, and the second one is monochromator will help in the separation of the polychromatic light beam into monochromatic light beam. Okay, so here in the light source, what we have discussed, light source for UV radiation, we use hydrogen lamp or deuterium lamp, and in few cases xenon lamp can also be used. So hydrogen lamp and deuterium lamp are the best sources for UV radiation. Coming to visible radiation, here tungsten filament lamp is most widely used, and in few rare conditions what happens, this carbon lamp is also used as a visible radiation source. Okay, and apart from these two, we also discussed about infrared radiation, in which Nernst Glover and Nernst Glover are used. Coming to Glover, in which silicon carbide rod is used, and in Nernst Glover zirconium and yttrium rods are used. Okay, so these are the light sources. Coming to monochromator, here monochromator is it is a set of arrangement of 5 different components, and the first one is entrance slit, and second one is collimating device, and third one is a wavelength resolving device, and third one is a focusing lens or a mirror, and fifth one is exit slit. Okay, and here entrance slit will help to for the entry of this polychromatic light, and collimating device like mirror will be used. Okay, mirror will be used as collimating device commonly, and it will help to for the dispersion of the light. Okay, polychromatic light will be dispersed onto the wavelength resolving device, and this wavelength resolving device like prism or grating will help to separate this polychromatic light beams into monochromatic lights based on their wavelength. And finally this is focused. Okay, this monochromatic light is focused by a focusing lens or a mirror, and finally this monochromatic light will exit through the exit slit. So these are the first two steps of the spectrophotometer. In the next class we will see about the next part of the second part of the spectrophotometer, UV visible spectrophotometer. Majorly what we will discuss in the second part, will majorly we should see about the holder, sample holder, and also the detecting systems. Okay, so this is for now. Thank you students. Please keep the material provided for you with you while listening to the class, and if you have any doubts please contact me. Thank you students.